Hi there. Today, I decided to get a relatively early start. I usually make the video in the evening, but I don't work today. I will be taking a little trip in the afternoon. I wanted to show you the cave system. Now, as we had hoped, many resources. Also, as we had hoped, when I reopened the cave system, there was no monster. He had despawned. Now there is a spider, which I suspect is probably somewhere up there. Yeah, somewhere cave in that direction. But we're going to use a similar trick by eliminating habitat. As you know, the monsters only spawn in those areas where it is adequately dark. So, having used engineering rather than weapons to solve our monster problem, now we can collect all of these valuable resources. Among some other projects that we're going to work on today, I'm going to try, without looking at the wiki, to remember the recipe for the anvil, which I expect will be a tremendously useful block. I seem to have found a great deal of coal. Now, as you'll recall in the last video, I manufactured lots and lots of torches. I've used almost all of them in the process of exploring this cave system, and that's probably a trend that's going to carry on. We won't be able to stay down here very long, but that's okay, because today we're going to actually build something. The amount of time that you can spend underground reasonably and safely is limited by the number of torches you have on hand. To attempt to stay longer and dig in the dark is to invite monster attack. That's not something that I'm in the habit of doing. And looks like that was just one unit of iron. So we'll seal these up. Again, we don't tolerate little nooks and crannies where darkness can accumulate and allow monsters to spawn. Ah, now we can see the spider on the other side of the gorge here. And that spider's probably going to die. Oh, we see a creeper down there, and a lava flow. Now this is useful, and we will eventually be making use of the lava. Now, oh, now this is very interesting. We can see down there that there are some wooden plank blocks and a couple of spiderweb portions. Oh, I hear a skeleton nearby. He can shoot me from across the gorge. So, we will remain on our guard here. Get out the sword. I expect that we actually have more than just a cave system. There's probably an abandoned mine down here. We can extend our stay, thanks to all of this extra coal that we found. Like that. However, we're not going to bridge this chasm just now. Actually, you know what? Let's do just that. We will use the shift move so that we can safely pass. Oh. And in an attempt to kill me, the spider fell to a horrible, fiery death. It's a spider, though. It had it coming. No, it seems to have relatives nearby. Hopefully that's in the lower section there. So, with our cobblestone, we have manufactured this bridge. But the bridge, like any part of our Minecraft world, is to be lit. I don't like hearing his clickety feet move so close to me. Oh wow, this is quite the cave system that we found. Quite the jackpot, frankly. While this is largely an exploratory outing to secure the mine, we can nonetheless take the opportunity to collect some ore. But we're going to remember to avoid nooks that will basically be monster spawn holes. By sealing them up where we find them. Oh, the skeleton's found me. Okay. It's falling down. Alright, I don't have food on hand, and we can't deal with too many engagements with the monsters. So, knowing what we do about what happens on the other side of the bridge, we will seal it. We don't need to seal it all the way. Only enough to ensure that monsters cannot pass over the bridge. Now, while spiders can climb, I'm not horribly worried about spider attack. We'll do that. And we'll place a torch. And there. And we can reasonably expect that no spiders are going to bother me at this point. Do one more brick right there. Oh, well, okay. The other brick is just fine too, but I'm going to remove it. So, now we have a cave system. We no doubt have an abandoned mine, which will be very interesting to explore when the time comes, but dangerous. So we're not going to go down there until we've got a good supply of things like armor and so on. Now, as you can see, as with the mines that I have built, these cave systems are to be well lit. That could be an invitation for monsters to creep down. And while skeletons and spiders are bad enough, what we're really worried about is running into a creeper in an enclosed space of this kind. Without wearing armor, we will surely be killed by such a monster. And, as you can see, I could manufacture more torches, but we're not going to do that just now. Instead, we will go back out into my mine shafts and once again seal this area. And I'll see you again at the Hobbit Hole for some above ground work. So, what we're going to do is I'm going to talk about some of the challenges of the winter biome, some ways that you can control it, and also we're gonna deal with a new structure that I'm gonna need. In the distance, you can see perhaps the mountain. We'll be able to see it very shortly, perhaps from with a better view. I have constructed this basin, and the function of this basin is going to be as a beacon, and also as a fairly attractive water feature. So first I'm going to show how we use the dirt as scaffolding, making sure that we have enough dirt on hand. We do. We're going to use the jump and block placement technique. And as we do so, we see a lot of snow. But that's actually quite a useful resource, as we'll discuss later on. But only really once you've collected the pumpkin, and also once you have need of killing off blazers and things of that kind. Now we're going to get out a little bit more dirt, because remember that we started 2 blocks away from the center. And then using shift hold, going to move in, place the block there. Now we will switch to cobblestone, which is going to be part of the permanent structure. And the cobblestone goes right there. So, like I mentioned, my computer is a little weak, so we're not going to get the full load. But we can see where the mountain biome begins on the other side of the river there. And we see some hills over in that direction. The winter biome is a forest, and it's rather large. And what's more, we can also see that there's a large cave system over in that direction. So, mountains, the Hobbit hole. I actually spawned somewhere around there when I began this world. We have the river, which is going to be of use to us later on, but we're going to have to deal with the ice, which is a matter I'm going to talk about shortly. And I expect that if we were to go farther beyond there, we might find a sea. In any event, all the way up here it's somewhat dangerous, so you may want to use the shift, or just be careful where you step. And the mountains are what really draw our interest, because that's where we're going to build our splendid castles. Mountains are really useful for building castles because they already give you a great deal of height, and you don't have to do a lot of tedious manufacture of foundations and stuff like that. Really what we're going to be doing is reshaping the mountain into a fortress and adding some towers and minarets to make it more interesting. Now what we're building here is a navigation beacon. We place the water. However, as I have just recalled, in the winter biome we do have those challenges. So we're going to find a way around those challenges by building the beacon in a particular fashion. We will, instead of using one of my normal beacon designs, place these blocks just so. I should step back towards the scaffolding there. And we're going to need some torch up here. One torch would do, but I can go all out a little bit. This is a special project. Now we add the water block. Now, we could get down to the ground simply by traveling down the water block, but that would leave this ugly dirt scaffolding. So, we're going to knock that out. And we get down in a fashion similar to how we got up. Now, in addition to being a navigation beacon, our fountain is also a water elevator that we can use to get up there, although since we're talking about moving up about 67 blocks or so, I think it should be a total of about 65 blocks up from the basin. Using that water elevator can be somewhat treacherous, so I don't recommend it. Nonetheless, the function of this light, this beacon, is to make it easier to navigate. Now there are other ways that we can use the navigational beacons, but with this one, we know that wherever we are, we're going to be able to see this great big waterfall that falls into this fountain. And that will be of some use to us. So, just to explore that property, we'll go out later on and we'll be able to see it from a distance. Now, as you can see, we can use the torches to melt the ice in the winter biome, but the torches are somewhat unreliable, and this has a problem that it produces when we're attempting to use this to create a consistent supply of source water. But we can do it. It is more efficient, of course, than just digging up the ice. And then we can replace that ice that we've somewhat depleted. Using our new source water supply. And that will eventually freeze back over, and we'll once again have an unsullied frozen lake. Now, moving water, such as the waterfall, will not freeze. The reason we put those torches at the top of the beacon is that that block will freeze inside of the wintry biome. So, having those torches around it, we have provided that block with the same benefit that we've provided to these blocks here. So, whenever you're working with water in the winter biome, you have the additional engineering challenge of how do you keep the source water blocks from freezing. Because once they do, whatever your waterfall, your cascade, your magnificent fountain, whatever it is you're building, will stop functioning properly. So you have to come up with a way to do it, and ideally not do it in a way that's ugly. This is efficient, what we've done here with the lake, to produce the source water that we need, but you will agree with me that it's not the most attractive thing to have these blocks just sitting in the water with the torches sitting on top of them. We don't get quite as much the same effect when we look on the beacon because the torches are so high up that we don't see them, and it simply looks like a beacon. So, check the time. I don't see where the sun is. That could be trouble, but we're going to head out anyway. Oh yes, it's getting dark. But that's okay. This is a great example of why the beacon is useful. We're going to travel a little bit, and as we travel, we're going to use the shears. In the same way that we replant the trees, shearing the sheep instead of killing them provides us with a consistent resource. And although it will get dark while we're out, that's okay because of our navigation beacon. So we're going to just duck out here to the beginning of the mountains and have a look around before running back to the hobbit hole to use the bed. Yes. Yes, these mountains are going to make great castles. This is a fine place to build. And we can see that there's a cow and also the squids, so we're going to have some useful resources to call upon as well. But it's nighttime now, and we can find our way back to the hobbit hole thanks to our navigational beacon. We don't have to pay too much attention to where we go. We simply move back towards the great pillar of water. Avoiding falling into little holes on the way, of course. And those are the projects for today. Oh, skeletons. We better get inside. Next time we'll talk about the appropriate number for farm and some other ways to achieve full sustainability. And then we'll begin talking about what we're going to do with those castles and how we will secure the entire process.